Okay, so welcome to lesson 3. This is power. This is on to do with the car's battery and what to do, what to check, what's safe, and what to avoid. So this is quite a long one, so listen up. So, just like your phone, your car needs power. Okay, if there's not enough power, it won't run, it won't turn on. So if it's low, and it will turn off, especially when the engine's not running. If you have your ignition on and all your electronics on, you probably know that if you leave them on long enough, your battery will kill it. It'll die, right? There's healthy batteries and there's unhealthy batteries. Batteries that if you leave your lights on for 5 minutes, your battery's completely flat. And some cars you can leave it on for an hour and come back and go, oh, I forgot, turn it off, and your car will still be fine. That's a healthy car. That's the difference between a healthy car and an unhealthy car. Well, their batteries, not the cars, but the batteries in the cars. So, yeah, not necessarily the car will turn off, but the car's ECU also turns off when the battery dies. And you might say, okay, who cares? So the car's ECU is the car's computer. It's what tells the car what to do. And your laptop and the tuning tool, we can call it, in this kind of diagram, it's like a USB stick, right? It's like a USB stick here, yeah? So let's imagine the car is here and this is your USB stick. And you're plugging it into the car and you want to transfer data from the car over to the USB stick. Now this is very important information, right? And what actually happens is it's transferring that data over, but it's copying files from the car, right? If that transfer is interrupted, like just pulling out the USB, you will corrupt the file on the car, have a corrupted file on the USB, and then the ECU. There's a lot of cases where you can kill an ECU, which is why I have to go through all these steps, because it's actually very easy to kill an ECU. But if you stick to these steps like I have, I've killed 0. So yeah, so through the USB, and if the car's voltage drops too low, so you might be doing everything right, but the most important thing is the battery voltage stays high. So now you might be asking, what's high, what's low? Yes, so typically when you plug into the OBD port and the software will tell you the battery's voltage, I want you guys to turn on the car, plug in the OBD port, select the car and hit OK, and it'll show you the voltage. If the voltage is not above 13.5 volts when the engine is running, do not tune the car. Stay away from it. Or text me and be like, hi Sean, this is below 13.5 when the engine is running, what should I do? Then I'll go through a few steps. Here's the steps I'm going to go through. Okay, so it should be over 13.5, right? If it's less than that, suggest the customer needs a new battery as it's weak. And maybe ask if they ever have issues starting the car. If they go, no, I never have issues starting my car, then you can kind of go on and kind of test some other things. And if it continues to be looking bad, stay away from it. If it starts looking good, then you can go ahead and tune the car. So at this stage, you want to turn off the car, turn the ignition on, so turn it all the way except for starting the engine. Make sure all the lights are off, the AC's off, the lights above are off, make sure all the doors are closed, the windows are up, make sure all the accessory electronics are off, everything off, the radio off. Some radios are hard to turn off. Long hold it so it completely turns off. Unplug anything plugged into the cigarette lighters. Put the lights onto O, and put the door lights onto O. So if anything does open the door, the lights don't come on. Nothing, everything off. The voltage needs to be high 11s. So 11.4, 11.5, 11.6, 11.7. If it's 12 volts, perfect, right? That just means the alternator wasn't charging the battery very good, but the battery's actually healthy. So with the ignition on, the engine off, if we have high 11s or 12 volts, good, we can go ahead and we can tune the car. But if we have the ignition on and it's around 11.5 and less, stay away from it. If it's showing low voltage when it's running and showing low voltage when the ignition's on, stay away from it. What will happen is the voltage will continue to drop slowly as you're reading from the file. It'll drop below 11 volts, the ECU will turn off, and you'll brick the car, you'll destroy the car. They'll be worse off than you began with. So this is when you go ahead and you ID the car. So when you select the car, you'll be given an option: ID, read, write, recovery. Hopefully you'll never need to use recovery, but the first option is ID. And this ID is like a mock test. It's like a mock trial. It gives you a good indication of how the battery will hold up. An ID compared to a read or a write only takes about 30 seconds to do. So again, it gives you a good indication of how the battery will hold up when it's just relying off the pure battery off the car. So you just follow the on-screen instruction. It'll say turn on the ignition, which means all the lights on the dash are on, right? Hit OK, turn off the ignition, hit OK, turn on. You're going to have to cycle the key a good few times. This is just to turn on the ECU on, turn off, turn off. This is how like the tuning software kind of hacks into the ECU. It kind of catches it in between these on and off stages, and it downloads the file. Keep an eye on the voltage during this ID. If it drops below 11.5, do not do anything past the ID. Before you actually go out to tune a car, I'm gonna go with you guys a few times just to show you what's like in the real world, like real world example. But that's lesson 3.